Hi Marian, can you tell us about Ferry's story and what happened in 2009?
Well, basically, Norma's relation had broken up with her partner. But to try and keep things good for Ferry's sake, she wanted him to see his father. And occasionally, maybe in 3 times, she brought him into the apartment and left him overnight. And that Monday, the 27th of July, he hadn't phoned by like 4:30, and I said, oh, that's brilliant, she's not dropping the child off. I wasn't ever happy with it, or my husband. And he phoned at 5:15 and she was gone with the child. He used to stay overnight on the 27th of July. And it was actually Norma's birthday. And she phoned on the Tuesday the 28th to pick him up, and he said, we leave him one more night, I want to go out to take him out for food or something. And she went in on the Wednesday, and he made a phone call, and Norma knew by the dial tone it was international. He said, your son is in Egypt and you won't see him again. And from there, just all hell broke loose. Couldn't believe it. Norma collapsed. I mean, bear in mind, we had his passport here, so there was no way he could leave the country, as we thought. But the guards were called in, and Vincent Connolly, the sergeant in Blanchardstown Station, took over the case, and we didn't believe he had left the country. We really thought maybe he was in Dublin, but the phone was pinged, and they knew that Mustafas had left the country, and he was somewhere over the Emirates. And there was a flight booked for him to return on the 1st of August. That was Mustafa. And the child was to be on the flight, according to the tickets, but only Mustafa came in. He'd left the child in Egypt.
Who is Mustafa?
Mustafa was the uncle of Ferry, my grandson, who was the brother of Emir, who was the father of the child.
What have you done since this all happened?
Well, we've done everything under the sun. I've been to Egypt at least 6 times. I've been to the embassy over in Egypt, the Irish embassy. I've been to the Egyptian embassy here. Foreign Affairs numerous times. I've written about like 40, 50 longhand letters. I was advised to do that. Umpteen emails and phone call after phone call from one department to another. It's not their department, it's not this section, it's another section. We have been into the Dáil. We've met some ministers in there. Literally anything that could be done.
What are people saying to you?
Basically, the Hague Agreement is quoted to us like there is no Hague in Egypt. So therefore, it's like they have an A to a Z, and they look up where your child is taken to, or your grandchild in my case, and oh, sorry, no, can't get your child back. Like, it's just totally unacceptable. And especially in light of the fact that there is a guy in Portlaoise as we speak serving, he got 6 years, and 7 years is the maximum sentence for child abduction. He got 6 years, and a crime has clearly been committed, and the child is still done as missing, and yet the Irish government and the Egyptian governments in Cairo, they know where the child is. And they did set up an order there quite recently for some Irish guy who had absconded with alleged charges against him, and he's going to be, well, they're trying to extradite him with an extradition order and a bilateral agreement they came up with. So I cannot see why they won't do the same in our case.
What is life like for Ferry in Egypt, and have you seen him?
Yes, I've seen Ferry 6 times since he left. And it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to see him, and to actually even sleep with him in his bed, kind of, and to wake up and his arms around you. And it's just absolutely fantastic to see him. But the price you pay emotionally, physically, mentally and financially to go through that. And then particularly when you're leaving, you know, it's like you just crawl home to Dublin on your knees. And then it takes you weeks to pick yourself up and keep going. But that's what I have to do. I have to keep going. I have to keep fighting for that child. And you're trying to function, and you're trying to work, and you're trying to do as a mother, a wife, a grandmother to my other grandchildren, just to function and try and be normal. And to feel her just getting slapped in the face every day with every phone call. And every time a plane goes over, I can't imagine if the mobile goes off, or the house phone goes off, or even when he rings from Egypt, maybe there's been a change of mind, maybe he's going to give the child back. And I mean, on one time over there, he actually allowed me to buy a ticket for my grandson to come home with me. And I asked him, you know, about coming home, and he said, yes, he'll come on holiday with me. But I mean, he'd done that knowing, well, I mean, whether he changed his mind again, you just don't know with him what he's doing, kind of. But I haven't given up, and Norma hasn't, and my family, generally, we haven't given up. We can't give up.
Do you think Ferry is being treated well?
In my opinion, no, he's not been treated very well at all. I've seen some dreadful things happen, kind of. And it's just totally different. It's the whole culture's different, which is fair enough, you know, but it would be very rough and ready, in my opinion, the way he'd be treated, you know, on a daily basis. And I think one of the most heartbreaking things also is the father, Amir, has married again. And he has a child, a boy as well. And my grandson calls this new wife Mammy Amal. And Norma was there 2 years ago, and he was saying Mammy Norma. And it's confusing for him, to say the least. But like, I know when I went over the first time, like I went over like when it happened on 2 visits, and then I didn't go over for nearly 2 years because of the trial. And then to go over, I mean, I was terrified, because I had to go over there and stand there, and they're saying to me, you put my brother in jail, my son in jail. And, you know, you're trying to say, well, actually, it wasn't really us, it was the state. And then my grandson did say to me, why you wait so long time to come and see me? And you can't explain to a child what it's actually about, and what's happened, and why he's there, and why he's not with his mum. And it's just absolutely horrific.
Do you talk to him on the phone?
We do talk to him on the phone, but it's not very successful. His English is not brilliant, but he knows us, and he tells us that he loves us and that he misses us. And when you come to see me again, I had arranged to go over in September. I think it was about the 16th of September I was to go over. But in light of the troubles over there, it was very volatile, the situation. I've gone over before, just after troubles, but I just felt this time it was a little bit too risky, sort of. And he was asking me why I didn't go over, you know. But I mean, I will go over soon again, hopefully.
So what would you like the government to do?
I'd like the government to work out some proposal or plan or agreement with Egypt to get my grandson safely returned. Be it through some bilateral agreement or extradition order, something somehow to have him returned.
Has it been a long 4 years?
You know, in ways it has, and in other ways it's like it happened yesterday. Sometimes I think, oh my goodness, is it really 4 years and 3 months? And so much has happened in our own lives, and in many ways nothing has happened. And like those 4 years, it's like every hour of every day of every week for 4 years and 3 months, just waiting and hoping. I mean, when this new government came in, I thought, this is it, they'll do something. But literally nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, but we need to make changes. And we need to make changes that this can never happen again to another Irish child, or citizen for that matter. That we're not safe, it's like the enemy within, kind of. That something has to be done so if, God forbid, it did happen again, that it could be picked up immediately and the person or child would be returned to its rightful place.
How did Mustafa being put in jail make you feel? Was it a bittersweet win?
It was bittersweet. I mean, initially, because we wouldn't have experienced any of this before and wouldn't have known all the legalities and technicalities and what would happen. To me, in our innocence or ignorance, we won on the day. But really and truly, we didn't actually. But it might stop another perpetrator trying the same thing again.